NT Media Productions presents I'm Making It Happen.
It seems like the VI lottery is the way to go. Skibbity bitty pop pop, I told her the man's not hot. Skibbity bitty pop boom, well when I just come in the room. Skibbity bitty pop pop, the VI lottery hot. Skibbity bitty pop boom, all my friends them winning too. Thanks to the VI lottery, I have special money. I had the winning ticket to help and support my family. Thanks to the VI lottery.
So it is very important that everybody has a skill that is eventually marketable and can be monetized.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of I'm Making It Happen with Exceptionally Yours, Nicole Tyson. And today we have the Executive Director of the Career and Technical Education Board, Mr. Anton Doos, joining us today on the show. And we're going to learn more about what the board's role is and how that can help improve the labor force here in the territory. And so, welcome and thank you for being with us today, Mr.
Very nice
Doos.
being here. Glad to tell you a little bit about the board.
What is your role as being the Executive Director for the Career and Technical Education Board?
So my job is to be a liaison between board members or the board as a whole, the chair of the board, and the department, if you want so. In boards, they should be voice opinions or rules or whatever they're talking as a united part. Therefore, you really need a person that is a go-between, because if every board member would go and have conversation with a interdepartmental managers, you would not get a clear consensus of what's really supposed to be happening. So you need somebody in between. Besides being the executive director or the liaison between, say, government house and a board, my job is also to manage the board's financial affairs. As little as the budget is, one of the things this board is by law is a semi-autonomous board. Unfortunately, that is a big word.
Can you break that down? What does it mean when people hear
Well, a good example would be UVI. UVI is a semi-autonomous agency of the Virgin Islands government. It runs its affairs as it sees fit. It is not part of the DOE. It is a different agency. So it makes its own rules and regulations. Hence, it can create things which are not hindered by the big bureaucracy of government. In our case, unfortunately, because during many years of perhaps mismanagement of the board or governors not placing members on the board, this semi-autonomy kind of has lost its edge, right? So a lot of people think that the board is this agency that has this big bucket of money, and which we don't. The unfortunate thing, this is an underfinanced semi-autonomous agency. We receive working capital to run an office, and the board, of course, like any agency would, builds into this budget a few things that it thinks throughout the year it may be able to help some other agency like, say, Skills USA or FBLA, or so they maybe need some financial assistance. So the board usually, when we do our budget, we kind of trying to go and figure out where we can go and put some dollars in there so that we have some funds available. It is expected to help everybody in career technical education, such as the student organizations.
So specific to the school, like you were just mentioning, what is your role? What is the CTE's role in the school?
So the board's role within the educational realm of things, by law, anything that has to do with career technical education, from a instructor to a program, to a curriculum, to a school, to anything that has to do with the public's involvement in career technical education is managed or should be managed via certification through the board. What that means is that an instructor, by law, should not be in a classroom if he's not certified by the Board of Career Technical Education. Okay. Equally so, a teacher should not be in a classroom if the teacher is not certified by the Board of Education. Further than that is that a program, say there's a new program out there, let's call it XYC, and it deals with maybe some welding and maybe some steel, or whatever that may be. When that program is created within the Department of Education to teach our young people or our adult education folks, that program then would be vetted by the board again. So the board would dictate it to me or my staff to research, bring the research back to the board. The board then would look at it and say, okay, that's a good program for us to have in the Virgin Islands. So no, it doesn't make any sense. Why would we invest 2 years in cake decorating? It doesn't make sense.
Doesn't need 2 years. It can be a shorter amount of time. Mm-hmm.
And then comes the curriculum. For instance, agriculture curriculum is important, but it should not be outrightly adopted from somewhere else. It should fit our needs. Let's make sure that the programs that we are having in our schools are viable, because the mission of the board is to provide a career technical education for every student in the Virgin Islands to further their financial goals, their being, as well as providing the needed labor within the Virgin Islands.
So that's the mission.
That is our mission, right?
Great.
In the Virgin Islands, being a student in high school or at the higher level, or in adult education, and importantly, to provide the labor within our islands to progress as a whole, right? That's a big thing, and if you want to go and cut this into a little snippet of things, simply said, if we do not provide the knowledge for people to build roads, we would drive on dirt roads. Mm-hmm. Simple as that. If we do not provide hospitality training, then we would import all our waiters, our cooks from somewhere else.
I was able to benefit from the career and technical education, even though I was a magnet student at the time at Complex, because of academic, your different classes you could take, I guess elective classes. Yeah, sure. I was able to take a media class on the vocational side of the Complex, which made me interested in media and what I'm doing now. And I changed my whole major from computer science to media communication. And so there is merit to what you're talking about in regards to having a skill from the high school level to be able to use it as a possible profession.
You hit it on the head, right? In the Virgin Islands, every student is required to graduate with a high school diploma and a CTE certificate. And that's important. You can always fall back onto a profession that will put some dollars in your pocket while you're in school.
Right.
So if you took welding classes, you may be able to be helping in a welding shop somewhere and make some good money while you're in college. So it is very important that everybody has a skill that is eventually marketable and can be monetized. I mean, that's really the idea. And I think what the board's mission really is to provide our public with the needs to find a profession that they can monetize, even though it may not be their profession in life. You may have, a lot of kids want to go into hair, right? Into braiding hair or doing hair or doing nails.
Cosmetology.
Very nice. You know what I'm talking about. That doesn't mean that they're all going to go and have a beauty shop. But it's going to probably provide them with some side income. There's a little side hustle they can do, right? Where they can do hair, or they can do nails, or they can do facials, all the things that they may learn during this cosmetology classes. Equally so in any of our CTE classes. Accounting. Who doesn't need accounting, right? There's a lot of kids which are good with numbers.
So tell us, so people are clear on it, what are the skill-based professions? Just give us a list of some of the skill-based professions that can come through the current technical education.
Let's start with A, automotive, and end with W, welding. And if you find the rest of the letters, you'll find a profession that goes with that.
So you say cosmetology, you're saying plumbing, welding, accounting, is a
computer science.
Computer science. Well, computer science.
Any of the things, or in your case, it was
Magnet.
But
for media communication.
Media communication. What you do now, right? Filmmaking. The idea behind career technical education really is that when you finish with school, you have basically 4 choices. Choice number 1, you go to work. Choice number 2, you have a brain that's exploding and you got money behind it, you go to college. Choice number 3, you really don't want the college part, but you still got a great brain, but you want to work with your hand, you go to technical college. And number 4, and this is really what we don't do anymore, and that is an apprenticeship vocational training. Look, I'm going to go and tell you right now here, every business in the Virgin Islands that does not have an apprentice is silly. It is utterly silly. You get a young person or an older person, whatever person of age, that is going to stay in your business, learns the trade, becomes certified, becomes loyal to your own business. You're creating the guy or the girl that's going to go and work for you for a long term. And there's an apprentice for every business in the Virgin Islands. Yet, nobody takes advantage of it. There's a few.
So, and that's what we want to bring awareness to, is the advantages of the current technical education and how that can help with the labor force here. So all our professionals that have businesses can look at how they can increase their skills with the labor force or their employees for their different businesses, right? So we're speaking with Anton Doos. He is Executive Director for the Current Technical Education Board, and we've learned so much already about what their role is and their mission. And when we get back from this break, we're going to learn more about how this can increase the labor force in the territory and what we need in regards to professionals being able to participate in their vision. We're going to learn more about the vision. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this short break.
It seems like the lottery is the way to go. Skibbidi-bidi-pop-pop, I told her the man's not hot. Skibbidi-bidi-pop-boom, when I just come in the room. Skibbidi-bidi-pop-pop, the lottery hot. Skibbidi-bidi-pop-boom, all my friends them winning too. Thanks to the lottery, I have special money. I had the winning ticket to help and support my family. Thanks to the lottery.
I think I need a change up. And Carlos Furniture have the thing them. Think I need a new sofa. And dishwasher for all my dish them. Right here on Island, all these things you'll find. Just head to Carlos Furniture and spend some time. They have brands like G, Serta, Simmons, Posturepedic. They can furnish any room, any day that you need it. Carlos Furniture, they're the best of the best. Carlos Furniture, to Park St. Thomas and Croix Peter's Rest. Carlos Furniture, 30 years in the biz. Carlos Furniture, quality in the name.
Carlos Furniture delivers 7 days a week, can provide white glove service, and can deliver to the BVI. Carlos Furniture, the place the Caribbean gets its furniture for the past 30 years.
Our heartbeat is the rhythm of life, and nowhere else is it felt quite like here. You can sense it in the tempo of the tides and breezes, and in the artistic expressions of our people. For ours are no ordinary Caribbean islands, and yours no ordinary Caribbean vacation in the U.S. Virgin Islands, naturally in rhythm.
Welcome back. You're watching I'm Making It Happen with exceptional yours, Nicole Tyson. And as you know, we have Mr. Anton Doos. He's the Executive Director for the Career and Technical Education Board. And we've been learning so much. And so, as we were discussing, Mr. Doos, I know you told us what the CT, Career and Technical Education Board is. I know we were speaking about before what it should be and what it isn't. So can you elaborate more what you think about those?
Okay, so the board is a policymaker, right? So we research, we suggest, but we cannot enforce. Like many laws in the Virgin Islands, they're created out of a good idea, and they created with the intent, but the intent usually is left away. If we would say that the law says you drive 55 miles an hour, but then there's no recourse, what happens if you drive faster than 55 miles an hour on the highway, then you would just have a law. And that's kind of like the Virgin Islands board. There is a law. It dictates to the board what our mission is, what we're supposed to do, right? All the things we said before, from certifications and all this stuff. However, if there is a violation within those rules, we are not able to enforce these rules, right? So there's no a police force, if you want, so for career technical education. So we're not. So we're basically researching. We're a research firm, if you want so. And we're also not a financial institution that finances career technical education. Contrary, all the finances come through the Department of Education. And that also creates somewhat of a issue with us on the board, in that we do not know what kind of monies are going where. So that's what we do, what we can and what we can't do. As a rounded ball, if you want so, there are all these questions that come from instructors. Well, why can't you, how can you help us? Well, we can suggest, we cannot enforce.
So what I'm understanding is that you have the oversight of the career and technical education side of the schools, vetting the programs, certifying the instructors to teach the various courses, and you may be limited in some aspects in regards to fulfilling your roles.
Right.
Do you feel your role as a executive director over the career and technical education board, are you able to fulfill the role?
I want to make sure that people don't take this out of context. I am not the board, right? But I can tell you that the board, as is this today, cannot fulfill the mandate as set by law. Simple as that. They cannot. It is.
And why is that?
Because the only thing that we are doing at the moment is certify and vet instructors. We have asked the department to send us curriculums. They are in the works. And we certainly have absolutely no idea of what kind of funds the Department of Education is willing to spend on career technical education.
What is something else that you're not able to fulfill on?
For instance, curriculum.
Okay.
Right? All curriculums which are presently out there should be certified by the board. We have a curriculum committee. They should look at the curriculum and see if it is up to date. Now, the Department of Education has very, very, very excellent staffing. They have people who have far more brain power than I ever will have. Far more education than I ever are willing to go and have them, right? But, and there's the but, Who do you call when your toilet doesn't work?
A plumber?
Where then would you think that a curriculum to produce a plumber is made? Who
I guess a
contacts
plumber
the-
would.
A plumber. So then tell me, why would career technical education curriculums go into academia? Why would a person that is not a plumber vet a plumbing curriculum? Why would a person that is great with numbers and has a psychology degree, maybe even a doctor's degree, come up with saying, I am vetting welding?
Is that what's happening now?
That's what happens now. Let me talk about the disconnect between career technical education and academia or the Department of Education. The Department of Education has a state director for career technical education and adult education. The Department of Education also has two district coordinators, one in St. Thomas and one in St. Croix, which logic would tell you that these people funnel up to the state director. And information flows this way. The state director then has a direct link to the commissioner or to her designee. What happens now is that these two people are not reporting to the state, they're reporting into somebody completely different in education. Hence, information either gets lost or it's just not communicated. Now, do I want to separate CTE from education? No. It's in the United States. It's in one bucket.
So what I'm understanding from what you're saying is that you don't feel like right now, you feel like academia and the technical education board there, the technical education part of the school system is being like blended, there's not having a clear separation?
That's exactly right.
Okay, and so that's not the way that it was intended to be. It's supposed to be a clear separation of a skill-based and academic. Because when I was in complex, you did have the academic side and you had the vocational side.
Yeah, it's still the same.
Right, but now they're talking about the curriculum isn't. Tell me, so what's happening now? That's the issue. That's the concern.
Well, our concern from a board's perspective is that curriculums are not vetted. They come from wherever they come from, right? That a curriculum may not even exist or is not followed. That things may not be taught the way they should be taught. And this is it's a really big box to open up, right? But when we're talking about separation of career technical education and academia, I'll give you another example. You heard the word Bill Gates, right?
Yes.
Okay. What does Bill Gates do?
He does a lot of things right now, but initially he created like the Microsoft.
Yeah, so he's a computer guy, right? Mm-hmm. Excellent.
Software, yeah.
Software engineer. Be a great guy to run a welding shop, wouldn't you think?
No.
What do you mean no?
He's not a welder.
So then tell me, why do we have principles in a career technical education that has never, ever been in career technical education? The outcome of a school is based on its head. If you want to have a career technical education school to be an explosion of career technical education, you need to have somebody on the helm that knows this business, a business professional, somebody that has run $1 million company, because that's what that is. Think of this, everyone that watches this show most likely learned a trade from a tradesman. They learn how to read and write from academia. But when they learn how to stack bricks on top of each other, when they learn how to cut a piece of 2x4s on a 45-degree angle, those were tradesmen.
Okay.
And that's the disconnect we have in career technical education.
So basically what is happening is that you have individuals like having an oversight, correct me of my terminologies, but oversight of curriculum that should be more focused, a skill focus, a person that has the skills that oversees or creates that curriculum in the vocational side of the...
That would be the ideal. The ideal thing would really be to have a head of a career technical education school who is a career technical education professional. That would be the principal.
Okay.
And that principal should have somewhat of a semi-autonomous status where he can go and work within career technical education without the consistent and constant pick of the academia.
Okay.
And I look, I understand where academia comes from. After all, this is United States, and in the United States, we have been pushing college education for how many years? For as long as you can remember, right? It had to be, you got to go to college. Okay, we did. A lot of people went to college, which probably is the reason why we have so many jobs in the technical fields unfilled.
Right. And that was going to be my question. Why is it important to have skill-based professions?
Because as an economy, as a population, without the skilled workforce, you are going to have to bring workforce in from somewhere else. Everybody is just having a laptop and writes letters. That's great. We can have think tanks about how we're doing things. The problem is we have nobody that can do it.
We were discussed previous to the show of like the delay in getting construction done at your homes right now. Sometimes the delay in having a plumber come out because there's, the demand is high, but the supply is low. So the supply of individuals in this profession is low, so you don't have a lot of people to call on and that you can trust in regards to their skill base. So you're saying that we need to improve on this current technical education courses, and so that we can make sure we maintain the needs of our community.
Yeah, let's talk about money. A kid wants to go and become a software engineer because there's a lot of money to be made in software engineers, right? I got some news for you. There is millions of other kids thinking the exact same way. Become a plumber. Make $250,000, $500,000 a year. Become a roofer. I was just asking to get my my roof, which had a couple of leaks in it, to go and get some corrugated stuff on top. The price on that thing is $6,500. Cost of it probably maybe $1,500 in cost. The rest is labor. So you want to figure that out, what that becomes an hourly page. So I think a lot of these young girls and boys discount the idea of being a tradesman because of money. Yes, you do get fingernails which are not going to be nice manicured. I got that. But there are some young ladies out there who are welding in refineries throughout the world who have skills. These girls have some skills. And they're demanding $150, $200 an hour for their skills.
This was an NT Media production. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share. It's a sociable thing to do.